In the vast silence beyond Neptune's orbit, Commander Elena Rodriguez stood at the observation deck of the research vessel Hawking, watching as centuries of human history slowly emerged from the darkness. The massive shapes of old Earth warships, some dating back to the 2080s, hung motionless against the star-filled backdrop of space. "They're calling it the Ghost Fleet, you know," her XO, James Chen, said quietly beside her. 300 ships, perfectly preserved in the Kuiper Belt's cold. The ultimate backup plan nobody knew we had. Elena smiled slightly, remembering the uproar when Earth's government had revealed the secret fleet's existence to their new galactic neighbors. The Meridian Confluence representatives had barely contained their laughter during the announcement. To them, these ships were relics, museum pieces that belonged in history archives, not active service. "Status on the Yorktown?" she asked, focusing on the largest vessel in their sector. The massive carrier had been one of the last ships launched before Earth switched entirely to modern gravitic propulsion and quantum weaponry. "Engineering teams report 80% systems operational," James replied, scrolling through his tablet. "They're amazed, actually. The preservation protocols from the old Earth governments worked better than anyone expected. Basic electromagnetics, ballistic weapons, even the nuclear drives, all functional." A soft chime interrupted them as Admiral Sarah Hayes's hologram materialized on the bridge. Unlike most modern military leaders who favored the sleek aesthetics of current uniform standards, Hayes wore a vintage naval uniform, complete with traditional rank insignia. "Commander Rodriguez, your latest report on the Heritage Fleet reactivation project made for interesting reading," Hayes said, her weathered face serious. "Particularly your notes on the electromagnetic warfare capabilities we've restored." "Thank you, Admiral. Though I'm not sure why we're investing so heavily in reviving these old systems when our modern fleet." Hayes held up a hand, stopping her. "The Meridians are coming." The words hung in the air like frost. Elena felt her spine straighten automatically. "Ma'am. Our deep space arrays detected their battle fleet crossing the Oort cloud boundary 6 hours ago. 70 ships, all equipped with their latest quantum tech. They're not bothering to hide their approach." Hayes's hologram flickered slightly. "They think this will be easy." Elena looked back at the Ghost Fleet ships surrounding them. Vessels that ran on nuclear power and electromagnetic systems. Ships that fired physical projectiles and relied on armor instead of energy shields. Technology that the Meridians and other advanced species had abandoned centuries ago in favor of quantum systems and AI-driven warfare. "They don't understand why we kept these ships, do they?" James asked quietly. Hayes's smile was sharp. "No. They think we're primitives, clinging to outdated technology out of sentiment or stubbornness. They don't realize that sometimes the old ways have advantages the new cannot match." "The electromagnetic pulses," Elena said suddenly, understanding dawning. "Their quantum systems are vulnerable in ways they've forgotten about," Hayes finished. "While our heritage fleet, well, you can't hack analog systems with quantum computers. You can't disable nuclear drives with graviton disruptors. And you certainly can't predict the actions of human crews when your AI tactical systems have no historical data to draw from." Elena felt a fierce pride rising in her chest. This was why Earth had maintained these ships in secret, updating just enough to keep them space-worthy while preserving their primitive systems. Not out of nostalgia, but because humanity had learned through bitter centuries of warfare to never abandon proven methods entirely. "Orders, Admiral. Begin full reactivation protocols on all Heritage Fleet vessels. I want crews volunteering, not assigned. We need people who understand and believe in what these ships can do. The Meridians expect to find a primitive species playing with antiques." Hayes's hologram straightened, her eyes glinting. "Instead, they're going to learn why humanity never fully abandoned its old warships. Sometimes, Commander, the future needs ghosts to defend it." As Hayes's hologram faded, Elena turned back to the viewport. The Heritage Fleet hung silent in space, their hulls still bearing the flags and insignia of nations long since united. They looked obsolete, outdated, easy targets for the Meridian's quantum weapons and AI battle systems. And that was exactly what humanity was counting on. "Send word to all ships," she ordered, her voice firm. "Operation Lazarus is now active. Let's wake up some ghosts." In the days that followed, the Heritage Fleet stirred to life. Nuclear drives that hadn't fired in centuries began their familiar rhythm. Electromagnetic warfare suites, maintained in secret by generations of engineers, powered up with technologies the Meridians had dismissed as obsolete. Ballistic weapons, carefully preserved in the vacuum of space, were loaded with projectiles that couldn't be stopped by quantum shields designed to deflect energy weapons. The Meridians were coming to demonstrate their superiority, to show humanity its place in the galactic order. They would find instead a lesson that Earth had learned long ago: true strength lies not in abandoning the old for the new, but in understanding when each has its place. As Elena watched her crew prepare the Ghost Fleet for war, she couldn't help but smile. The Meridians thought they were coming to face primitive technology. They were about to learn that sometimes, the most dangerous weapons are the ones your sensors can't see, and the most lethal tactics are the ones your computers can't predict. The ghosts of Earth's military past were awakening. And they were about to teach the galaxy a lesson about the dangers of underestimating humanity's resourcefulness. The Meridian flagship Quantum Dawn emerged from its faster-than-light corridor in a burst of calculated precision. Supreme Commander VYX stood on his command deck, his crystalline form refracting the light from dozens of holographic displays. Each showed the same thing: the primitive human vessels scattered across the Kuiper Belt, their nuclear drives glowing like beacons to the Meridian's quantum sensors. Such inefficient energy signatures, his science director chimed, her crystalline features arranged in what passed for amusement among their kind. Their ships are radiating heat and electromagnetic noise across the entire spectrum. VYX didn't respond immediately, studying the tactical displays. 70 Meridian warships against 300 human vessels seemed like generous odds, especially given the technological gap. Yet something about the humans' formation, or lack thereof, bothered him. "They're not even attempting to coordinate their movements," his battle director observed. "Each vessel appears to be operating independently, without any quantum link synchronization." "Begin the approach," VYX ordered. "Standard conquest protocol. Demonstrate our superiority, offer terms of surrender, then." The quantum displays flickered. Just for a moment, but enough to make VYX pause. "Status? Minor quantum field fluctuations," the science director reported. "Likely interference from their primitive nuclear drives. Nothing our systems can't compensate for." On board the Heritage Fleet flagship Yorktown, Elena Rodriguez watched the Meridian Fleet's approach on screens that used technology centuries old. No quantum displays, no holographic interfaces, just hardened electronics and physical backup systems. "They're moving exactly as Admiral Hayes predicted," James noted, studying radar returns instead of quantum sensors. "Perfect formation, synchronized movements. Their AI battle networks are running everything." Elena nodded, her hand resting on the aged steel of her command chair. "Send the signal. All ships, Operation Silence is go." Across the Heritage Fleet, crews that had trained for months for this moment began their carefully choreographed dance. Nuclear drives that had been running hot suddenly went cold. Electromagnetic emissions dropped to near zero. 300 ships, scattered across millions of kilometers of space, became ghosts. On the Quantum Dawn, alarms shrieked. Multiple sensor failures, the battle director's crystalline form vibrated with concern. "We've lost quantum tracking on all human vessels." "Impossible," VYX snapped. "Recalibrate the quantum network. They can't just disappear." Energy surge detected. The warning came too late. The first electromagnetic pulse swept through the Meridian Fleet like a silent tide. Quantum computers, designed to process information at the subatomic level, suddenly found their delicate calculations disrupted by waves of crude electromagnetic energy. Shields failing. Quantum grid destabilizing. VYX watched in horror as his perfectly synchronized fleet began to fragment. Ships designed to fight with AI precision suddenly had to rely on crystal crews who hadn't manually operated their vessels in generations. That's when the kinetic weapons arrived. Accelerated to massive speeds by electromagnetic rails, thousands of projectiles tore through space. The Meridian's quantum shields, designed to dissipate energy weapons, proved nearly useless against solid metal moving at relativistic speeds. They're attacking from all directions. The battle director's voice had lost its usual harmonic perfection. Our targeting systems can't lock onto their ships, there's too much electromagnetic interference. Elena allowed herself a grim smile as she watched the battle unfold. The Heritage fleet had scattered before the attack, each ship operating independently, each captain making their own decisions. There was no central network to hack, no AI to outsmart. Just humans, flying with skill and intuition, using weapons so old they'd become new again. Multiple Meridian vessels reporting critical damage, James reported. Their quantum communication network is completely down. They're trying to coordinate with light signals. Now they remember the basics, Elena murmured. She keyed her radio, simple, encrypted radio waves that cut through the electromagnetic chaos their ships were generating. All Heritage Fleet vessels, execute Phase 2. Show them why humanity never forgot how to fight the old way. The Heritage Fleet's nuclear drives flared to life simultaneously, a coordinated move practiced for months. To the Meridian's quantum sensors, already struggling with the electromagnetic interference, it was like watching stars explode into existence. VYX felt his crystalline form vibrate with shock as he watched the human ships move. Their maneuvers defied AI prediction, their attacks came from impossible angles. Without the quantum network, each Meridian ship fought alone, exactly as the humans had planned. We've lost 12 ships, his battle director reported, voice hollow. They're primitive weapons, we have no effective defense. Full retreat, VYX ordered, his pride cracking like his crystalline skin. All ships, emergency quantum jump. Get us out of this electromagnetic storm. As the Meridian fleet retreated in disarray, Elena allowed her crew a moment of celebration. But she knew this was just the beginning. The Meridians would be back, and next time they'd be ready for the Heritage fleet's electromagnetic warfare. But that was fine. Because humanity had kept other old weapons too, other forgotten techniques that the galaxy's advanced civilizations had abandoned in their rush toward quantum technology. The Ghost Fleet had more surprises to reveal. Send word to Admiral Hayes, she ordered. Phase 1 successful. Request permission to begin Phase 2 deployment. The Heritage Fleet hung silent in space once more, their nuclear drives cooling, their electromagnetic emissions dropping back to near zero. They looked like relics again, museum pieces floating in the void. But now the Meridians knew better. They had just learned that sometimes, the most dangerous weapon isn't the most advanced, it's the one your enemy has forgotten how to fight against. And humanity remembered them all. The emergency council chamber of the Meridian confluence buzzed with discordant harmonics as crystalline leaders vibrated their distress. Holograms showing the battle damage flickered across the chamber's quantum crystal walls, each image a testament to how thoroughly the humans had shattered their assumptions. Supreme Commander VYX stood before them, his usually perfect crystalline form showing stress fractures. The human strategy was unprecedented. Our quantum systems, our AI battle networks, they were all but useless against their electromagnetic warfare. Impossible. The science director's voice created ripples of disbelief through the chamber. Their technology is centuries behind ours. They still use nuclear drives and physical projectiles. A new voice cut through the chamber's chaos, deeper and more resonant. High Commander ZYX, leader of the Confluence's most elite battle fleet, stepped forward. His crystalline form bore the complex patterns of countless victories. "You're all missing the point," ZYX's voice carried the weight of experience. "The humans didn't win because their technology was primitive. They won because they understood something we forgot, the value of redundancy." Meanwhile, aboard the Heritage Fleet Command ship Yorktown, Elena Rodriguez studied the after-action reports with Admiral Hayes. The hologram of their superior flickered slightly. They were still using old-style projection technology, hardened against electromagnetic interference. "The Meridians will adapt," Hayes noted, her expression thoughtful. "They're already developing electromagnetic shielding for their quantum systems. Phase 1 caught them by surprise, but Phase 2 needs to show them something new." Elena nodded, pulling up schematics on a physical display screen. "That's why we're deploying the Chimera systems." "Exactly." Hayes smiled. "While they're frantically trying to shield against our primitive electromagnetic weapons, we'll show them why humanity never fully committed to any single technology path." Across the Heritage Fleet, crews were already at work. Hidden compartments in the obsolete ships opened, revealing technology that was anything but primitive. Quantum sensors merged with analog systems. Graviton generators powered up alongside electromagnetic weapons. Each ship became a hybrid of old and new, a carefully engineered fusion of technologies spanning centuries. On the bridge of the Meridian destroyer Quantum Spear, First Officer KYX watched in growing concern as their enhanced sensors detected the changes in the human fleet. "High Commander, the energy signatures, they're impossible. The humans are using quantum technology alongside their primitive systems." High Commander ZYX studied the readings, his crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns of thought. "So that's their true strategy. While we abandoned our old technologies, they were learning to combine them with the new." The human fleet began to move, but not in ways the Meridian's predictive AI could fathom. Each ship operated on multiple technological levels simultaneously, quantum signals masked by electromagnetic noise, graviton drives working in concert with nuclear propulsion, AI systems partnered with human intuition. "They're not primitives clinging to outdated technology," ZYX realized aloud. "They're master strategists who never discarded a working tool just because a newer one came along." The battle that followed would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for centuries to come. The Heritage Fleet demonstrated mastery not just of individual technologies, but of their integration. When the Meridians adapted to electromagnetic warfare, they faced quantum attacks. When they adjusted their shields for quantum weapons, they were struck by kinetic projectiles. Elena watched from the Yorktown's bridge as her fleet executed maneuvers that would have been impossible using any single technological approach. "Send the signal to all ships," she ordered. "Begin the Chimera protocol." The Heritage Fleet's ships suddenly split their signals across the entire technological spectrum. To Meridian sensors, each human vessel now appeared to be in multiple places simultaneously, using multiple forms of propulsion, sending contradictory sensor readings across every band. "They've weaponized confusion itself," High Commander ZYX murmured, watching his fleet's coordinated response fall apart. "Each countermeasure we deploy only reveals new vulnerabilities they can exploit." The battle reached its crescendo when the Heritage Fleet demonstrated their masterstroke. Ships that appeared to be launching electromagnetic attacks were actually using quantum weapons, while those broadcasting quantum signatures struck with physical projectiles. Every assumption, every predictive model, every tactical doctrine the Meridians had relied upon proved worse than useless. "Full retreat," ZYX ordered, but with a different tone than VYX had used before. This wasn't a retreat of panic, but of profound reassessment. "All ships, disengage and regroup at Rally Point Omega." As the Meridian fleet withdrew for the second time, Admiral Hayes's hologram appeared on the Yorktown's bridge. "Well done, Commander Rodriguez. But don't celebrate too long. They'll be back, and next time they'll have begun to understand." Elena nodded, watching the enemy fleet vanish into quantum space. That's what we're counting on, isn't it? The more they understand, the more they'll realize just how much they've forgotten. Exactly, Hayes smiled. Phase 3 isn't about showing them our technological capabilities. It's about teaching them why humanity's greatest strength isn't in our weapons at all. It's in our ability to learn from the past while embracing the future, Elena finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. The Heritage Fleet regrouped, their hybrid systems humming with power both old and new. They had shown the galaxy that humanity's apparent technological conservatism wasn't a weakness but a carefully cultivated strength. But the greatest revelations were yet to come. Because the true power of the Ghost Fleet wasn't in its weapons, whether ancient or modern. It was in the philosophy that had created it, the uniquely human understanding that true advancement doesn't mean abandoning the lessons of the past, but building upon them. The Meridians were about to learn that the most dangerous force in the galaxy wasn't superior technology, but the wisdom to know how best to use it. The crystalline spires of the Meridian High Command pulsed with an urgent frequency as High Commander ZYX presented his findings. The chamber's quantum displays showed detailed analyses of the Heritage Fleet's hybrid warfare tactics, each demonstration sending ripples of disquiet through the assembled leadership. We built our civilization on the premise that advancement means replacement, ZYX explained, his form casting fractalized shadows. When quantum computing emerged, we abandoned binary systems. When graviton drives were developed, we dismantled our fusion engines. We saw this as progress. Supreme Commander VYX, his form still bearing stress fractures from the previous battles, moved forward. And now the humans show us our mistake. Each technology we abandoned became their advantage. On the main display, footage from the battles played in stark detail. Human ships seamlessly switching between propulsion systems, weapons platforms that combined centuries-old ballistics with cutting-edge quantum physics, crews that operated with both AI assistance and raw intuition. But surely we can adapt, the science director chimed in. We still have the theoretical knowledge of these older systems. We could rebuild. We don't have the time, ZYX cut in. Our sensor networks detect massive human fleet movements throughout their territory. They're deploying something new. Aboard the Yorktown, Elena Rodriguez stood with Admiral Hayes, watching as the Heritage Fleet executed its most ambitious operation yet. Around them, ships that had once been considered obsolete were transforming once again. The Meridians think they've figured out our strategy, Hayes observed, studying the tactical displays. They believe we're simply combining old and new technologies. They haven't grasped the full scope of what humanity has been preparing for. Elena nodded, watching as the fleet's formation shifted into something entirely new. Phase 3, show them why we never stop training human pilots alongside our AI systems. Across the Heritage Fleet, crews that had spent years mastering both ancient and modern warfare techniques moved into position. Each ship now operated as a perfect fusion of human intuition and mechanical precision, their hybrid systems guided by minds that understood both the limitations and advantages of every technology at their disposal. The Meridian Response Fleet arrived right on schedule, their ships bristling with newly installed electromagnetic shielding and modified quantum sensors. High Commander ZYX had prepared them for every tactic the humans had previously demonstrated. But humanity's greatest weapon had always been its unpredictability. Multiple anomalies detected, First Officer KYX reported, his crystalline form vibrating with confusion. The human ships, they're operating in ways our predictive models can't process. ZYX studied the sensor readings with growing concern. The Heritage Fleet wasn't just switching between different technologies, they were using them in ways that defied both logic and physics as the Meridians understood them. Human ships would appear to be executing standard attack patterns, only to shift mid-maneuver into something entirely unexpected. AI-assisted targeting systems found themselves outsmarted not by superior technology, but by human pilots who intentionally acted against tactical optimization. They're introducing chaos into perfect systems, ZYX realized aloud. Every prediction we make becomes a vulnerability they can exploit. Elena watched from the Yorktown's bridge as the battle unfolded. The Heritage Fleet moved like a living organism, each ship acting with individual initiative while maintaining perfect coordination with the whole. It was a display of warfare that combined the best of human creativity with the precision of machine logic. "They're trying to adapt their quantum AI to predict our movements," James reported from his station. "But they can't create algorithms to match human intuition." "That's because they forgot something fundamental," Elena replied, watching as another meridian formation broke apart under the Heritage Fleet's assault. "Technology doesn't make decisions, people do. And humanity never stopped practicing the art of decision-making under fire." The battle reached its climax as the Heritage Fleet demonstrated the full scope of their capabilities. Ships that appeared to be retreating would suddenly reverse course in ways that violated standard combat logic. Weapons fired not at optimal targets, but at seemingly random points in space that forced the Meridian Fleet into devastating crossfires. "This isn't just hybrid warfare," ZYX transmitted to his fleet. This is art." The Meridian Fleet, for all its technological superiority, found itself fighting an enemy that couldn't be predicted because they intentionally defied prediction. Every algorithm, every tactical doctrine, every assumed constraint became a weapon in human hands. As the battle drew to its inevitable conclusion, Elena received a transmission from Admiral Hayes. "The Meridian Fleet is withdrawing, but this time they're not running away. They're retreating to learn." "Isn't that dangerous?" Elena asked. "The more they understand our tactics, the more they'll understand why humanity succeeded where they failed," Hayes finished. "We didn't just preserve old technology, Commander. We preserved the wisdom of knowing that the greatest weapon in any war isn't the technology you use, it's the mind that wields it." As the Meridian ships vanished into quantum space, Elena looked out at her fleet. These ships, once dismissed as relics, had become symbols of humanity's greatest strength, the ability to learn from the past while embracing the future, to combine the best of both human and machine, to understand that true progress doesn't mean abandoning what works, but building upon it. The final phase of the war was approaching. And with it would come humanity's greatest revelation, one that would change not just the outcome of this conflict, but the future of galactic civilization itself. In the crystalline heart of the Meridian Confluence's Supreme Council chamber, High Commander ZYX faced the assembled leadership of his civilization. The quantum displays surrounding them showed not battle plans or military formations, but something far more revolutionary, a complete reassessment of Meridian technological philosophy. "We have lost this war," ZYX began, his voice resonating through the chamber. "But not for the reasons we initially thought. The humans didn't defeat us with superior technology or overwhelming force. They defeated us with understanding." The chamber erupted in harmonic discord, but ZYX continued. "For millennia, we viewed progress as a straight line. Each new advancement meant discarding the old. We became gods of the digital realm, masters of quantum reality. But in doing so, we forgot what it means to be mortal." Aboard the Yorktown, Elena Rodriguez stood with Admiral Hayes, watching as the largest human fleet ever assembled moved into its final formation. The Heritage Fleet had been joined by ships of every era, from the newest quantum cruisers to restored vessels centuries old. Each represented a different chapter in humanity's journey to the stars. "The Meridians are hailing us," James reported from his station. "They're requesting a meeting. Not to discuss surrender terms, but to learn." Hayes smiled. "And there it is. The real victory we've been working toward all along." The message that followed would be remembered as a turning point in galactic history. High Commander ZYX, speaking not as a military leader but as a representative of his entire civilization, addressed humanity directly. "We came to your space believing ourselves superior," his transmission began, crystal tones carrying genuine humility. "We saw your preservation of old technology as weakness, your hybrid systems as inefficiency, your reliance on human intuition as primitive. We were wrong on all counts. Elena watched as the Meridian fleet approached, not in battle formation but in a ceremonial configuration unseen in centuries. Their ships broadcast on old radio frequencies alongside quantum channels, a symbolic gesture that spoke volumes. "You've shown us that true advancement isn't about replacement, but integration," ZYX continued. "While we made ourselves slaves to pure efficiency, you maintained the wisdom of balance. Each generation adding to your knowledge instead of overriding it." The Heritage Fleet responded with its own display. Ships of every era demonstrated the seamless integration of technologies spanning centuries. Human crews worked in perfect harmony with AI systems, each complementing the other's strengths. "We request not your surrender, but your guidance," ZYX's message concluded. "Teach us what we have forgotten. Show us how to be both digital gods and analog mortals." Admiral Hayes stepped forward, her hologram steady and clear. "This was always the true purpose of the Heritage Fleet," she explained to Elena. "Not just to defend humanity, but to demonstrate a fundamental truth about progress that the galaxy had forgotten." The next few hours saw an unprecedented exchange. Meridian scientists and engineers boarded human vessels, their crystalline forms vibrating with wonder as they studied systems both ancient and modern. Human crews demonstrated how they combined digital precision with analog reliability, AI efficiency with human creativity. "Look at their expressions," James remarked, watching a group of Meridian engineers examine a manually operated targeting system. "It's like watching children rediscover their ancestors' wisdom." "Because that's exactly what it is," Elena replied. "They built their civilization reaching for the future. We built ours remembering where we came from." The formal peace agreement that followed would reshape galactic civilization. The Meridians, humbled but enlightened, proposed a new era of cooperation. Their quantum expertise combined with humanity's hybrid warfare doctrine would create defensive capabilities beyond anything either civilization could achieve alone. As Elena watched the mixed fleet of human and Meridian vessels conduct their first joint exercises, she reflected on the true lesson of the Ghost Fleet. "We never needed to prove we were stronger," she mused. "We just needed to show them that strength comes in many forms. And that the wisest civilizations," Hayes added, "are those that remember their past while building their future." The Heritage Fleet, once mocked as obsolete, became the foundation for a new form of galactic warfare doctrine. Its ships were living museums, not of what humanity had been, but of what civilization could be when it embraced all forms of progress. In the years that followed, other species would come to Earth to study this philosophy. They found not a primitive civilization clinging to outdated technology, but a species that had mastered the art of balanced advancement. The Ghost Fleet, maintaining its vigil in the Kuiper Belt, stood as a testament to humanity's greatest strength, the wisdom to know that tomorrow's victories often depend on yesterday's lessons. As new threats emerged from the depths of space, humanity and its allies faced them not with pure technological superiority, but with the combined wisdom of countless generations. The Ghost Fleet's legacy lived on, reminding the galaxy that true power lies not in abandoning the old for the new, but in understanding how to use both in harmony. For in the end, humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization wasn't technology or warfare doctrine, but a simple truth: progress isn't about where you're going, but about remembering where you've been. The ghosts of Earth's past had not just saved humanity's future, they had helped forge a new path for all civilizations to follow. A path where the wisdom of ages past walked hand in hand with the marvels of tomorrow. And in the vast silence of space, the Heritage Fleet maintained its eternal vigil, ready to remind the galaxy of this lesson should it ever be forgotten again.